Welcome back. Chapter 10. Libby Harris was not what I expected. After Virginia's warning that Libby was trouble, I pictured someone hard-looking, a cloud of danger, and bad choices swirling around her. But Libby looked exhausted and not much else. We found her in back of the laundromat, hauling huge cloth sacks of dirty laundry out of a beat-up van. She was petite, with honey blonde hair in a high ponytail that made her look younger from a distance. But up close, the fine lines around her eyes gave her age away. She was pretty in a worn-down way, like a vase that had lost its shine. The bones were still good, but the sparkle that made it worth a second glance had faded away. Libby took one look at us and huffed out a laugh. "Ha! You got to be shitting me." "Hey, Libby," Dean said easy. "How you been?" "Fucking great, as you can see. Soon as I'm done here, I'm running off to my yacht for a trip around the world." Dean reached out and grabbed one of the heavy sacks from her hand, carried it over to the pile by the laundromat's back door. "Hi," I said, squinting against the sun. "I'm Greer." Libby looked at me. "You seem normal enough. What in the hell you doing hanging around with him?" "Thanks," Dean said, voice dry. "Suit yourself," Libby said with a shrug in my direction. "But don't say I didn't warn you when he starts lying to you, then dumps your ass without a second glance." I thought about correcting her, but didn't think she cared that much about my relation status with Dean. She was more concerned with getting her shots in even after all this time. To prove my point, she threw another bag towards him, a little force behind it. "What do you want?" "Couple of questions, that's it," he said. "Then we're out of your hair." Libby paused in her work, ran the back of her hand across her sweaty forehead. "Okay, get on with them." "When you and Roy were dating, was he seeing anyone else?" Dean asked. "Dating?" Libby smirked. "That's what you call it? We went out for cheap food and fucked in the back of his truck." She raised her eyebrows. He didn't have your finesse, but the guy had stamina, I'll give him that. And Roy was lucky to have landed me for as long as he did. I seriously doubt there were two of us dumb enough to hang out with him. Dean's jaw tightened in a way that I was starting to find familiar. It reminded me of a pressure valve, a way for him to ease out some steam so he didn't blow. What about anyone new he might have been hanging around with that summer before the murders, guy or girl? We talked to Merle, and he was no help at all. "Well, guess this ain't your lucky day," Libby said, "because I sure as hell don't remember your brother making any new friends." "What about the money he was stealing from Merle at work?" Dean asked, surprising me. "What was going on there?" "I have no fucking idea what you're talking about," Libby said, hands on her hip. "Are we done?" "Yeah, we're done," Dean said. "You've been a big help, really." He was already turning to leave, but I stayed put. "What about people who were out of place that summer?" I asked. "Anyone lurking around?" "What, like a stalker?" Libby snorted. "Come on," Dean said, face tight with frustration. "Let's get out of here." Dean be trying to hush people up. I turned to follow him, but Libby's voice stopped us. "Wait," she said. "There was a guy I saw a couple of times. At least I'm pretty sure it was a guy. Could have been a chick, I suppose. He was never that close to us, just hanging around on the edges of wherever we happened to be, if that makes sense. It was probably nothing, but I remember noticing him once or twice." "What did he look like?" I asked, pivoting to face her again. Libby scrunched up her brow like she was trying to conjure a decade-old face out of thin air. "Honestly, I don't really remember. He was always wearing a ball cap, I'm pretty sure. He was average. Nothing stands out." "Age?" Dean asked. "How the fuck should I know?" Libby said. "Not old. White. No facial hair. I don't think." She threw up her hands. "That's all I've got." "What made you think he was watching Roy?" I asked. Libby sighed, her patience with us and this topic wearing thin. "I have no idea. He probably wasn't. He could have been watching me. Or maybe it was all coincidence. You asked if I noticed anyone out of place or who was hanging around, and he came to mind. I remember getting that feeling before I would actually see him, the one where the back of your neck prickles. Know what I'm talking about? I nodded, unable to speak. I did know what she was talking about. I'd had that feeling myself off and on that summer before Eliza died and had ignored it. Had felt it again when I first held the paper heart in my hand. Would you recognize him if you saw him? Dean asked. Not a chance, Libby said. He could walk up here and shake my hand and I'd be none the wiser. She paused. You know how it is, Dean. Some people aren't that memorable. Holy shit, I said to Dean's profile. What did you do to her? She hates your guts. He blew out a breath as I pulled back onto Wilson Street. I honestly don't know. I mean, I probably didn't handle the breakup well, but I was 19 years old, for fuck's sakes. I didn't handle anything well back then. And when she started dating Roy right after, I was pretty shitty about it. Because you were jealous? Because I didn't like her playing with him. Maybe you had it wrong. Maybe she genuinely liked him. Dean shot me a look. We both know that wasn't why she was seeing him. You heard her. You don't think she had anything to do with the murders, do you? She could have wanted your brother punished for some reason and talked him into doing something horrible so she could sit back and watch him suffer. Or maybe it was all about making you suffer. Either way, it seemed ridiculously extreme and would do nothing to explain the heart I'd been given. But I was willing to consider any possibilities, determined not to count anyone out too soon. Dean shook his head. Nah, Libby's the right-in-your-face type when she's pissed. She's not sneaky. She'll kick you in the nuts and be done with it. And besides, what possible beef could she have with your sister or Travis, or Addie or Dylan for that matter? Maybe they were collateral damage, I said. Maybe, Dean said, but he didn't sound convinced. But that would be one cold-hearted bastard. Like I said, Libby runs hot. Yeah, she looked like she wouldn't mind taking a couple of swings at your head with one of those laundry sacks. When was the last time you saw her? He bit his bottom lip as I glanced at him and then back to the road. I hooked up with her once or twice over the years. Nights we ran into each other when we both had a little too much whiskey and I didn't want to go home. Not for a long time now, but every time it happened, it only made things worse. Oh, I bet it did, I said. Now her being pissed makes a little more sense. Nobody liked being used. I didn't think of it like that. I wasn't trying to hurt her, and I knew I was playing with fire. We were oil and water from the word go, but she was the last taste of normal I ever had. After we broke up, everything went to complete shit like a snowball rolling downhill. Sometimes, when I was a few shots in, I could convince myself that maybe she was the secret. Like, if I could make it work with Libby, then magically things would go back to how they used to be. He shook his head, which was goddamn stupid because things weren't even that great before it all went to hell. I watched my hand reach out, my fingers closing over his. I get it, I said. His hand turned over under mine, giving me a gentle press of his fingers, and warmth surged up my arm, settling heavy in my rib cage. His touch was comforting, but the look he shot me was dubious. It's okay, he said. You don't need to try and make me feel better. I know you had the life everybody wants, at least until my brother up and destroyed it. My life wasn't perfect before Eliza's murder. There go a clue. I know it might seem that way to you. Hell, it probably seemed that way to a lot of people, but it wasn't. I had that question. Dean let go of my hand and I pulled it back, left it lying pale and limp on the console between us. I took a deep breath, wondering how far my honesty was going to take me. My dad's a drunk now. From the corner of my eye, I saw Dean's head snap in my direction, but I kept my gaze on the road. And all my mom does is clean. You can eat dinner off any surface of our house at any time. if you don't mind the bleach aftertaste. My smile tasted bitter on my lips. For a long time after Eliza died, I tried to pretend that her death caused all of it, but that's not completely true because my dad always liked a drink in his hand. Looking back, once 5 o'clock hit, he was rarely without his trusty gold glass of bourbon. And my mom was one of those people who had to be busy every second of every day. Bake sales and volunteering and decorating for every stupid holiday. Like if she slowed down, the world might end. But despite those things, I always thought we were solid, you know? Not perfect, not happy all the time, but solid. Solid. That's how life had felt to me back then. I used to walk through the front door of our house every day after school, and peace settled over me like a gentle wave. It never mattered how shitty my day had been or how much homework I had waiting for me once I stood in our foyer. I was home, and everything was better. I knew there would be something good to eat for dinner, that my parents would ask about our days and listen to our answers, that Eliza and I would handle after dinner cleanup and fall into a familiar, comfortable rhythm, even on nights we barely spoke. Back then, I never doubted the power of our family, the idea that our connection to one another would overcome any obstacle. I've been so stupidly naive, I had no idea how fast it could all be ripped away. I cleared my throat against a knot lodged in my windpipe. I thought we could weather most anything, but the very first time we were tested, we fell apart and never managed to pick up a single piece. I risked a glance at him. I'm not telling you this to make you feel worse about what Roy did. He's the reason Eliza's dead, but he's not the only reason for the rest of it. Eliza died and we stopped living. I gave a sad little wave at nothing. So long, Dunnings. You're still here, he said, voice quiet. Am I? I asked on a broken laugh. Sometimes it doesn't seem like it. You're still here, Dean repeated, firmer this time. He reached down and took my hand again, squeezed in time with his words. You're still here. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like I was. Okay, Dean, you trying to mac her or distract her? I was tasked with bringing the booze, which considered where I live was an easy job. All I had to do was grab one of my dad bourbon's bottles and an armful of beers from his stash in the basement fridge, and I was all set. Ryan was in charge of the pizza and was already biting into a slice when I climbed the steps to the gazebo. You better not have eaten half of it already, I warned. I'm hungry. Don't worry, first piece, I swear. Ryan wound a ranch strand of mozzarella around his finger. I have to try and get my fair share in before Cassie shows up. She'll hover the entire thing in 2 minutes flat. She's not coming, I said, dropping the bottle of bourbon and a blanket onto an empty chair. Apparently the clerk at the dollar store came through and we got bumped. Not surprised, Ryan said. Can't say I fought her priorities. Pass me that bourbon, I need a drink. Hard day? Yes, God help me. I have got to find a new job. I handed over the bourbon and set the beers on the battered coffee table as I lowered myself onto the ground across from him. I angled my body toward the glowing fire pit, warmth racing up my side. How's that going anyway? I've been surprised when Cassie texted and told me Ryan had agreed to help Chet renovate his house while he was back in Ludlow. I love Chet, but even an hour in his company usually felt like too much. I couldn't fathom spending all day with the guy. About like you would imagine. Some days it's all I can do not to duct tape his mouth and shut for 5 minutes apiece. I laughed. How did you end up agreeing to help him anyway? There's not a lot of demand for a middle manager type in Ludlow, and I spent all the summers in college doing remodeling work, remember? I figured I could put that knowledge to good use and keep myself busy, make some money while I'm here. But damn, I never figured Chet would be micromanaging me the entire time. He's wearing me out. I bet he is. I gestured to the pizza box, dark grease stains leaking through the cardboard. Gas station? But of course, Ryan said in his best British accent. Dig in. There had never been a pizza joint in Ludlow, so when we were kids, the local gas station started selling pizza from an ancient set of ovens in their dinky kitchen. It was surprisingly good, especially when you didn't have anything to compare it to. Ryan grabbed a second piece and leaned back against the sofa, stretching his legs out in front of him. God damn, did you ever think we'd be sitting here at our age living with our parents again? Speak for yourself, I said around a mouthful of pepperoni. I'm only visiting. Technically, so am I. But when I moved in 4 months ago, I said it was for a couple of weeks, and look how that turned out. I'm kind of surprised you're back after the divorce. I passed him a beer, watched as he popped the top on the side of the table. Cassie and I had roots in this town. Our parents were born here, our grandparents too. I never thought about whether I liked Ludlow because my love for it was so strong. It was where the Dunnings belonged. But Ryan was a transplant. His parents had moved here when he was 5, when his dad got a job with the railroad. His arrival, there's a new kid moving in, had elicited a wild excitement in me. Poor Ryan never stood a chance. From the minute I spied him from my backyard, he'd been stuck with Cassie and me, whether he liked it or not. Stuck with Ludlow too, even after his parents divorced and his father moved away. He took a long swig of beer. He took a long swig of beer before he answered me. This town sucks in a lot of ways, but it's also easy to get comfortable here. It starts feeling like too much trouble to go anywhere else. Bottom line is, it doesn't really matter. I like it or not. It's home. You were happy in Kansas City though, weren't you? Haven't you thought about going back? Oh God, who the fuck knows? I thought I was happy there, for a while at least. But the whole time things with Bethany were unraveling, and the harder I tried to fix them, the faster they went to shit. At least here, I have family and friends. It could be worse. He gave me a rueful smile. And really, who in the hell is actually happy? Cassie, I said without hesitation, plucking a black olive off my pizza and flicking it at him. Yes, well, Cassandra is a rare magical creature. Us mere mortals can't compare ourselves to her. That is true. I pointed at a beer and waited for Ryan to pop the top and hand it to me. I saw your dad today. Told him I'd be over this weekend to rake the leaves. I set down my newly acquired beer and made a timeout motion with my hands. First of all, since when are you my parents' lawn boy? And second, you saw my dad? Where? In the backyard. I talked to him over the fence, and I wouldn't classify myself as their lawn boy, but I help out with the yard when I can. Was my dad upright when you saw him? I tried to keep my tone light, as if my dad's drunkenness was a quirky personality trait, like wearing socks with sandals or littering his conversation with bad puns. He was walking and talking just fine, as far as I could tell. Must have been before noon then. Ryan leaned forward and tapped the neck of his beer bottle against my wrist. Since you've been back, have you talked to him about his drinking? Nope, I said. Wasn't aware that was my job. Well, it's not your job, but he's your father. I know your mom has tried once or twice over the years. Maybe he'd be able to hear it if it came from you. I hated when Ryan started dispensing advice I'd never asked for and didn't want. The wise older brother mode he went into with Cassie and me, even though we were all the same age, had made all the same dumb decisions over the years. He'd been notorious for it when we were teenagers. So often, the voice of reason that Cassie had taken to calling him Dear Abby our freshman year. The fact that it was solid advice coming from a good place only made it that much more unwelcoming. Cassie usually managed to blow it off, but it always made my hackles rise. He took a leave of absence from being my father more than 10 years ago, I said. And as far as I can tell, he doesn't have any plans to resume that position. I've got better things to do with my time than lecture him on drinking and then watch him go straight back to the bottle. Okay. Ryan held up both hands in a universal gesture of backing off. Forget I said anything. Although, for the record, I wasn't suggesting a lecture, more a loving nudge. What would the point be anyway? It's not like he has much of a life left now that the store is gone. I jerked a piece of pizza out of the box, half of the cheese slipping sideways. I still can't believe he sold it. From what I hear, he held on as long as he could. The store was in trouble, Greer. It had been for years. The insurance money he got after Eliza died was only a Band-Aid. I lowered my piece of pizza. What insurance money? Where'd you hear that? Ryan shrugged. From Chet. He sold your dad the policy right before he retired. An insurance policy on his teenage daughter? We never been poor, but money had always been tight. My mom clipped coupons and our family vacations were usually a weekend somewhere within driving distance. It didn't seem like my dad to spend money on something as unlikely to be necessary as an insurance policy on Eliza. Except it had been necessary after all. Was there one on me too? I have no idea. You'll have to ask somebody with more knowledge than me. Chet mentioned it in passing one day when he was waxing poetic about his insurance days. And yes, it was exactly as riveting as it sounds. We didn't talk too much after that. Sat together and watched the back porch lights come on as the sky darkened. Worked our way through the pizza and a beer or two. If Ryan's inclination for unsolicited advice was one of the things I didn't like about him, his ability to be comfortable with silence was one of the things I did. He'd always been the comedian among us, quick with a laugh, easy with people in new situations, but that didn't mean he was always on. He knew, in a way very few people ever mastered, how to be still. There had been a brief time our freshman year of high school when I wondered if maybe Ryan and I were destined to be more than friends. An idea planted by a girl in my math class who's seen us hanging out and made an assumption I couldn't stop rolling around and around in my head afterwards, wondering if it had been merit. Then, an afternoon up in my bedroom, both of us sprawled across my bed listening to music when I leaned into his body and pressed my mouth to his, pushed my tongue tentatively between his lips. It hadn't been horrible, but it hadn't caused my stomach to knot or my breath to come faster either. When I pulled away, scared I ruined everything, not sure how to even begin to backtrack, Ryan had smiled at me, tucked a piece of hair behind my ear. I love you, Greer, he said, so much, but not like that. And then he hit play on the next song. He understood, with a maturity way beyond my own, that our love wasn't the physical kind, and we didn't need to try to force it to be just to make our relationship easier for other people to understand. He made my misstep practical painless and a stubbed toe instead of a shattered leg, something we can move past without permanent injury. Ryan reached down and tweaked my foot, capturing my attention. Hey, he said, voice gentle, I know you're back here for a reason. He went on quickly before I could interrupt or disagree. It's fine that you're not ready to tell us about it yet, but whatever you're searching for, whatever it is you need, you're going to find it. You're going to find it, Greer. He gave me a smile, and everything is going to be okay. He had no idea what he was talking about, but I had to give him credit for his conviction. His gaze never shifted. His voice never wavered. That's more than half the battle with a lie, believing it's the truth. And that's the end of chapter 10. Okay. First of all, before I get into what I want to say, I want to reread something because it kind of like resonated. It resonated with me, kind of. So let me go back to the sentence. Darn it. I said I was going to remember where it's at. Okay, here is the sentence. He understood with a maturity way beyond my own that our love wasn't the physical kind, and we didn't need to try to force it to make our relationship easier for other people to understand. That resonated with me because some people might say that I don't care about a lot of things. And the one thing I care about a lot of things, but one thing I don't care about is what people think about me. So I was like, yes. Okay, so that's that. Now, let's talk about this insurance policy that the dad took out on Eliza as a teenager. Now, y'all know in the beginning, Dad was a suspect. Now he's Dean is, okay, he was first, the mama was second, Dean was third, okay? So those are my three suspects. Everybody else have Garrett and my aunt have Ryan. Now my list is now back to the dad, Dean second, I don't know about the mama. Garrett and Ryan are not on my list, but I want to know what he doing taking the policy out on Eliza. Is that what Eliza found out? And do that tie into the title? I did it for you. I don't know. Okay, so is there anything else? Did Libby give us some type of details? She kind of did, but not really, but it could be anybody, right? Okay, so what y'all think? Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Okay, so this book only have 20 chapters. 10 chapters have already been written. I want to go live Saturday, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time to discuss chapters 1 through 10, and then what y'all think might happen. So I'm thinking about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on, if I get people to come to my live stream and have a discussion with me. But either way, I'm going to have a discussion about chapters 1 through 10. And then I will pick up after the live. I might not read. You might not see a video for a few days. And then I'll pick up chapter 11. Let me see. They kind of going past quick. Like, okay. All right. So chapter 11 is getting a little longer. Okay. I saw something. I can't tell y'all. Okay. So I'm going to see y'all in the next video. Bye for now.